Here we have it. This is the fully assembled 7-foot MOAB Blowgun 625 caliber. This has everything on it. We have all the darts, the bomb dart, javelin dart, the 2-blade and the 3-blade dart all attached to it. You can see how long this blowgun is for size comparison. This is a standard 5-foot blowgun, and you can see that the 7-foot is significantly larger than that. But there are two other configurations, as we discussed earlier. With no attachment on it, you get the 3.5-foot length. With the 2.5-foot attachment or pipe on it, you get a 6-foot total length, and then with a 3.5-foot, which is what this has on it, you get the full 7 feet of it. So let's measure what the difference in power is between each one of the lengths, the 3-foot, the 6-foot, and the 7-foot. But before we do that, let's test and see what the power output is of a 5-foot. For that, we're going to be using this paintball chronograph. It attaches to the front of a paintball to measure their speeds, and I find it actually attaches and it's very accurate for putting it at the front of a blowgun as well. So let's do that. We'll start with the 5-foot and then we'll go through. Okay, before we start logging data, the chronograph that we're going to be using takes meters per second, so the initial speeds that you're going to be seeing are going to all be in meters per second, and we can convert that to feet later. Also, we're going to be shooting the 3-blade that comes with the MOAB blowgun kit, and then we're going to be shooting all 4 different lengths. So we're going to shoot the 3.5-foot, we're going to shoot the 5-foot, which is common in the market, we're going to shoot the 6-foot version of the MOAB, and then we're going to shoot the 7-foot version of the MOAB. In order so that I don't lose my breath as I'm shooting, I'm going to shoot each one of them in groups. I'm going to shoot each one of them 4 times in groups of 3. I'm going to shoot the 3.5-foot first in 3 bursts, then I'm going to shoot the 5 in 3 bursts, then I'm going to shoot the 6 in 3 bursts, and then I'm going to shoot the 7 in 3 bursts. And I'm going to go through that 4 different times, so that way we get a good average across all 4 different lengths. All right, now we're going to shoot the 3.5-footer. 19.8. 22.9. 21.6. All right, now we're on to the 5-footer. 25.1. 26.2. 26.7. Okay, now we're on to the 6-footer. 29.7. 29.2. 30.6. All right, and now we're on to the last length, the 7-footer. 33.1. 32.7. 34.3. The average feet per second for the MOAB in the 3.5-foot configuration with that first group of 3 shots was 70.6 feet per second. For the common 5-foot blowgun was 85.8 feet per second. For the MOAB in the 6-foot configuration was 98.3 feet per second. And for the MOAB in the 7-foot configuration was 110.2 feet per second. After additional consideration, in order to get a better average across all lengths of blowguns, I'm going to shoot them in bursts of 3 for 5 rounds each length. And I'm going to spare you having to watch me shoot each one of them, and I'll just give you the data here. The average feet per second for the second group of shots was 75.6 feet per second for the 3-foot MOAB configuration, was 93.7 feet per second for the 5-foot common blowgun, was 100 feet per second for the 6-foot MOAB configuration, and was 109.2 feet per second for the 7-foot MOAB configuration. The third group of shots for the 3-foot, we got 78.9 feet per second. For the 5-foot, we got 99.3 feet per second. For the 6-foot, we got 101.6 feet per second. And for the 7-foot, we got 109.6 feet per second. For the fourth set of shots, we got 80.5 feet per second on average for the 3-foot. We got 89.8 feet per second for the 5-foot. We got 105.9 for the 6 and 111.5 for the 7-foot. And for the fifth and final group of shots, we got 77.2 feet per second on average for the 3-foot MOAB configuration, 92.7 feet per second for the 5-foot common blowgun, 99 feet per second for the 6-foot MOAB blowgun, and 112.5 feet per second for the 7-foot MOAB configuration. Okay, so we've tested the speed of the 4 lengths of blowgun. Now let's test the penetration. We've got this block of cardboard. It's just over 4 inches wide. I don't expect them to go through it, but they should definitely penetrate pretty far into it. So let's find out how far they will penetrate. We're going to use the 1 shot each length. So we'll do red for the 3.5 footers. We'll do orange for the 5-foot. We'll do white for the 6-foot, and we'll do blue for the 7-foot. We're going to take the target and we're going to put it 10 yards back over there, and then we'll start taking our shots. Okay, so let's take a shot with the red dart and the 3.5 foot gun. Now we're going to take a shot with the orange dart on the 5-foot blowgun. Now we're going to take a shot with the white dart on the 6-foot gun. Okay, and finally we're going to take a shot with the blue dart on the 7-foot gun. So let's go take a look and see how we did. Oh, they definitely did some good penetration. So now we can see what the 4 blowgun lengths did when penetrating the cardboard here. The red was again shot with a 3.5 footer, and you can see it had the least amount of penetration. The orange with the 5-foot length, and that has the next least penetration. Then we get to the white, which was the 6-footer, and that got pretty decent penetration. And then the blue, which is the 7-footer, and that got the best penetration. But let's open this up and see how far into the cardboard it went. Get this out of here. So it doesn't look like any of them, which I expected, did not pass through the 2 inches of cardboard here. So let's see how well they did do. There we go. So let's look at the bottom here first. Okay, so one of them actually got through all the way through, and of course that was the blue here, and that made it completely through to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th sheet. And oops, I think I just cut myself. That made it through there. All right, there you go. You get a better view of it here. So here's the two of them. Here is the, let's see if we get some lights down there. Actually, I'll just, so here is the one and here is the other. Okay, and now the other two have come through finally here. So after on the third sheet they got through. So actually they got through 5 total sheets. So here is this is the 3-footer, here's the 5-footer, here's the 6-footer, and here's the 7-footer. So obviously we got the blue one went through the most, the white one the second most, and which are the 6 and the 7-foot variations, and then the 3.5 and the 5-foot are the ones that got through the least, which is what you'd expect when we are shooting these. So let's take these out and see if we can come up with a better target that would simulate more of tissue if you're using these in a hunting application. Okay, I think we've come up with a real world scenario. The target is all the way over there, right there, 15 yards away. And the target is a piece of moistened rawhide, so it's flexible and can move and simulates any kind of deer or hog hide. A pack of spare ribs, 2 pieces of foam behind the packing for the spare ribs, and then a water bottle with some red water in it, just so that it simulates harder lung tissue. We're not necessarily trying to hit this. We're trying to see how the darts penetrate through the rawhide and the spare ribs and the foam. So I think this will be a good test for that. Okay, and just to get an idea of what these darts are going to be, what the depth is that we're trying to have these darts penetrate, here's the target that we're shooting, and it is going to be roughly 1.75 inches thick, which is a gigantic chest cavity or chest wall that you got to penetrate. So let's see how these darts will do. We're not going to shoot the 3-foot in this test, and that's because you're most likely not going to go out and actually shoot the 3-foot in a hunting scenario. We are going to shoot the 5-foot, which is common in the market, to give us a baseline of what is typical out there. Then we're going to shoot the 6-foot and the 7-foot as well. We're going to shoot each one of the guns with both types of darts that come in the MOAB. So that's the 2-blade and the 3-blade. And then, just like we did in the cardboard test, we're going to use the orange cone for the 5-foot, we're going to use the white cone for the 6-foot, and we're going to use the blue cone for the 7-foot. All right, so I put the camera nice and close so we can get the penetration shots as the darts from each length hit it. So first up is the 5-foot. We're going to shoot the 2-blade and then the 3-blade at 15 yards. Now we're going to shoot the 7-foot with the same 2 darts, the 2-blade and the 3-blade. So here are the results of shooting the MOAB 6-foot and 7-foot blowgun, and then the common 5-foot blowgun out there in the market. Again, the orange cones are the 5-foot blowgun, and the white cones are the 6, and the blue cones are the 7. If you look at this, the orange penetrated deep on the 2-blade because it did not hit anything. It didn't hit any of the bulk of the material, so we'll reshoot this for sure. The 3-foot of the orange also hit a bone and it wasn't able to penetrate, so we will reshoot this. This one here, though, actually did penetrate bone. That's why it didn't go as deep as it normally, or as other darts might have. But it did get all the way through. Even with hitting the bone, it was able to get through to the chest cavity, inside the chest cavity, which would have been a fatal shot. So actually, we'll reshoot these 3 darts and see what results we get after that, compare the differences. So we're going to reshoot those 3 darts again, the 2 orange for the 5-footer and the 1 blue for the 7-foot. So here are our final 3 shots of those 3 darts that either hit bone or weren't able to penetrate through. The 5-footer, again,
underperformed in this test, so it was not able to. This one hit bone again and stopped, and this one seems to have done the same and stopped. You can see that second shot of the 7-footer hit the same spot that the 5-footer hit, but it went significantly farther into the target. Actually, it would have continued through if it didn't get stopped by the arrow target behind it, and so would the 3-blade version of the 7-footer. The 6-foot also performed well, but the 6 and the 7-foot, from my perspective, just performed significantly better than anything less in length. So this is what the back of the target looks like after we took the shots. Here are the 6-foot 2-blade and 3-blade, and here are the 7-foot 2-blade and 3-blade. The 2-blade was shot twice because it had hit a bone and we wanted to see what the penetration was. You can see it hitting the same spot that the 5-foot did, but it had a little extra power to get through the target, whereas the 5-foot did not. But the 6 and the 7-foot are definitely the way to go if you're looking to hunt. In our last test, the 7-foot blowgun with the 2-blade and the 3-blade darts looked like they wanted to go through the target completely. The only thing that had stopped them was the arrow target behind it. So we've taken this one here, same rawhide with pork shoulders and a pork tenderloin behind it, and suspended it on this rack here. I've moved the arrow rest further back behind this so that the darts can actually penetrate completely through if they choose to do that. So we're going to just shoot the 7-footer and see if the darts will get more penetration with nothing stopping them. I've adjusted the angle of the camera so that we can look and see if the darts get penetration and how well they get into the target. So let's get to shooting the 7-foot gun, the 6 darts, the 2-blade, the 3 2-blades, and the 3 3-blades. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the cones from each one of the darts if they don't naturally come off by passing through the target on their own, and that way it's going to be a pretty tight grouping of darts, and I don't want to Robin Hood these, which is probably a pretty high likelihood of me doing that. And then I also don't want to affect the darts penetration as they go through the target. If this was a real shot on an animal, you're not going to realistically take 6 shots in the same spot on an animal. So let's remove those now. So at first glance, it looks like it's awesome penetration on each one of the darts. 5 of them didn't make it completely through for a pass through, but every one of them made it a fatal shot. One of the 2 blades made it completely passed through. But let's get a closer look at these. The results speak for themselves. The 7-foot MOAB combined with the 2-blade and the 3-blade darts are devastating to your target. One of the darts passed completely through this target. Every other one made it well into the chest cavity through this thick piece of rawhide, the pork ribs, and then a pork tenderloin. In my book, that's a good 8-10 inches of penetration. Well, I think after our testing today, it's pretty conclusive that the 6 and 7-foot blowgun lengths are the length to use if you're going to go out and use your gun in a hunting application. The extra 1 to 2 feet gives significantly more speed and power to the dart, and it would deliver a lethal, humane kill to your target. In our testing today, we used the 2-blade and the 3-blade dart, but we also tested using all other darts in the market, and the results were the exact same. The extra length in pipe actually delivers significantly more power to the target and more penetration. And it just so happens that the MOAB, mother of all blowguns, come with both the 6 and 7-foot, depending on which pipe you put on the end of your gun. And if you're interested in the MOAB or other darts or dart accessories that we might have, you can search us out on our website at whisperweapons.com, or you can go to amazon.com and search us out there. You can type in MOAB blowgun or FSFF, as in fins, skins, furs, feathers, blowgun, and find MOAB, our darts, and accessories. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and the like button, it'll help get this video and other blowgun videos out to the public so we can bring blowgunning to the spotlight. Thanks for watching.